if we look back in time, there's been all these shows, you know, the Time Tunnel, Lost in Space, Time Machines, all kinds of different videos put up there, like movies made over the years. And personally, I think they have done with their CERN what they intended to in their D-Wave quantum computers. There's technical videos up there on what they're doing, very technical, but I think it's, you know, it's can it be a coincidence that all these movies have been put up there and all these shows saying, this is happening, this could very well happen. And personally, I believe something has changed in my reality or around me that almost makes you think that you are going crazy. And I don't know. I personally myself think they have just gone back and altered things in the past, like with Monopoly Man. I put up a video about that, you know, like I got two boards here that show the monocle's missing off of the Monopoly Man. And just goes on and on. I think they're playing games, you know, like I still hear them advertising Home Depot and then the Home Depot on the radio, because to me it was always called Home Depot. Go to Home Depot. And then now it's the Home Depot, you know. But anyway, they're making like, well, it's just the way they were saying it now, that it was, they called it Home Depot, but it always was the Home Depot. Signs have been up there forever that say the Home Depot. They're all faded, been there for how many years. Anyway, I come across a number of videos, and from a way back, if I'll just under fair comment for educational purposes, I'm going to play a few clips from some videos. One from a way back. If we can look here on the screen, it says the Yesterday Machine, 1963 film. Okay, if you type in that, you should come directly to it. Excuse my crude editing fashion here. I'm just doing it right off the screen. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of this, and you'll see what these people are saying in this video. I mean, pretty much to this video. Now this is a new one. It says urgent insight into CERN's time machine. You know, like, anyway, here I'm going to just play just a little clip. Excuse, I'm just cutting into this video here where it, I think it started. Now these people were transported into a different time at this point, and they're walking along and they come up to a tree. She's tired, so they can sit down, and then they end up being teleported or ported into, or whatever you want to say, moved into some lab. Now listen to this.
Welcome, my friends, to my little workshop. Do not be alarmed or cause unnecessary commotion. You are in no danger. At least, not for the moment. Won't you please step out? I am Dr. Ernst von Hauser. These are two of my assistants, Manfred and Wolf.
Where are we?
I told you. We are in my little workshop. And I tell you again, please do not be alarmed.
What time is this? What century are we in?
Does it matter, my friend? There really is no such thing as time, except as a relative measuring device in your own mind.
We're not interested in double talk. What happened to Margaret DeMar? What have you done with it?
Please, Mr. Crandall, you will please remain calm.
What have you done with my sister?
Your sister is entirely safe, Mr. Marr, and I assure you I did not bring her here intentionally.
She certainly didn't come here of her own free will.
I didn't say that. I brought her here to keep her from harm.
Then where is she? Let me see her.
But of course. To the armor. Come to here. Schnell! To the armor. Bringen Sie Fräulein DeMar zu ihrer Schwester. on me for long, Mr. Crandall. She'll be all right. She'll be able to freshen up. He will even furnish her a change of clothing. I notice you were intrigued by my servant girl, Diliana. And well you might be. Just a few thousand years ago, she was serving in the court of Count Menzies, one of the great pharaohs of Egypt. And now, she is serving me. Quite an experience, is it not?
This is like a fantastic nightmare. I don't understand any of it. How did you get Margie here?
I was conducting an experiment with a pair of gentlemen from the past. When the girl and her boyfriend wandered into the machine's field of materialization and encountered them. They shot the boy. They might have killed the girl had I not teleported her here very quickly.
And the two red soldiers?
I sent them back to Shiloh, Mr. Crandall. But it doesn't matter. They probably died there anyway.
Fantastic. Utterly fantastic. Tell me, Doctor, why did you send Sandy and me back to
1789? I admit I took advantage of you to conduct a little experiment. Oh, you are a little dangerous, but you see, no harm has come to you.
super spectronic relativity? I believe that's what you once called it.
Oh, then you are familiar with my work.
To some degree, yes. I read up on you this morning in the library after talking with the police.
Oh. And what did you learn about me?
Quite a bit. I know of your early career and some of the brilliant discoveries you made in the field of physics, and that you were expelled from the International Congress of Physicists because of your theories.
Ah, that was a humiliation which will soon be avenged, Mr. Crandall. But go on. What else did you learn of me?
Well, I know that you were a friend and sponsor of Adolf Hitler, that you helped elevate him to power in the 30s, and became the organizer and administrator of his Department of Scientific Warfare. That's another thing that puzzles me, Herr Doctor. Why a man of your brilliance should identify himself with a fanatical madman like Hitler.
How dare you refer to Adolf Hitler as a madman? He was a great genius, ahead of his time. The world in its ignorance was not ready to accept him.
The world did not accept him because he was a lunatic bent on enslaving him. You call a man who is responsible for the mass murder of millions a great man, a genius?
Anyone with enough intelligence to examine history knows there are times when lives must be sacrificed for the benefit of future generations. And he was willing to do this in order to lead his people into
darkness, into oblivion. That's where he was leading them. And like all other power-crazed dictators before him, he failed. Thank God there were people in the world with enough courage to resist and to conquer him.
What do you know in your stupid, petty little mind? Forgive me, Mr. Crandall, for my outburst of temper. You are, of course, entitled to your own opinion, for whatever small purpose it may serve you. Let me enlighten you, Mr. Crandall, on a few things of which you and the rest of the world are unaware. Blame for the loss of the war cannot be laid to Hitler or his doctrines. It was I who failed him. Me and the General Staff. He called for weapons, super weapons, to turn the tide of war in those last few days. Because of my inability to deliver those machines soon enough, we are defeated. It might interest you to know that during those last few months of the war, we had almost perfected weapons so far in advance of anything that had gone before them as to make modern warfare in all its forms completely obsolete. Oh, if it only had for further experiments.
I know of some of your experiments, like the ones carried out in a certain concentration camp.
Oh, then you know about the agent machine. Yeah. They had almost perfected that one when the war ended. Oh, but that machine was one of the more primitive devices. Like the jets and the rockets that we used so briefly. We were in the final stages, Mr. Crandall, of perfecting weapons that were truly astounding and against which you would have had no defense.
Listen to this.
A cannon that killed with sound waves, yet was completely silent. A giant generator gun that could electrocute whole armies in the field. Oh, and more, many more. If only had a few more months to perfect those weapons, we could have plucked victory from the jaws of defeat. The Third Reich would have endured, not for 1,000 years as the Fuhrer dreamed, but forever.
But the fact is that you failed, Herr Doctor. Failed and lost.
But you are forgetting one thing, Mr. Crandall. That was 20 years ago. Since then, I have perfected and even improved on my original weapons. And we have conquered time.
Well, listen to it.
Dr. Einstein's so-called fourth dimension. Hitler will return, Mr. Crandall, and soon. Your victory was but a temporary one.
Okay, I don't know if there's any more in here. He was talking about this. Okay, I think it was here. Hang on.
Found atomic power supply. Here are the master controls,
Yeah.
and here are the selections. With this dial, I can control the century I wish to deal with. These other dials, of course, are for the selection of the year, the month, the day, even the hours and minutes, and even seconds. These are the acceleration switches with which I can control the velocity or speed of the passage of certain relative segments of time. Just as you would increase or decrease the speed of an automobile. Is that too difficult for you to grasp, Mr. Crandall?
Frankly, I'm beginning to doubt my sanity.
Well, you needn't. After all, there are very few people in the world who can understand even Dr. Einstein's theory of relativity. And my theories go far beyond his. But you are an intelligent man, Mr. Crandall. We will let this line represent the world. Put a line here to represent the equator, here for the north and south poles. If an aircraft starts here, this side of the equator, and starts going up and up and up, it is going north, towards the North Pole. But the instant it passes over the pole, it is no longer going north. It is going south. And yet, it has not turned or changed its direction in any way. Now, that is the simplest way I know of to make you understand how my theory of superspectronic relativity was first developed. It has long been established that time and space do not exist except in relation to each other. Therefore, they are inseparable, indivisible, a space-time continuum. The faster we travel in space, the faster we travel in time. Now, let me use this short vertical line to represent an instant of time on this horizontal arrow to represent velocity or speed. Now then, scientists have long held that light is the top limiting velocity in the universe. In other words, there is nothing in the world faster than light. And yet it is known Beta particles, ejected from the nuclei of radioactive substances, can attain velocities up to 99% that of light. Now, I have always based my theories on the premise that there is no limit to space. The universe is limitless. Well, if there is no limit to space, then there is no limit to time, and no limit to velocity. Therefore, I thought there must be something in the universe that was faster than light. The years of frustration and failure before I finally had to submit to the one irrevocable fact: there is nothing in the universe faster than light. But I discovered a new ray in the spectrum with a wavelength infinitely shorter even than that of the cosmic ray. This ray I called the minus ray.
I'm afraid you lost me, Doctor.
Well, in other words, while I discovered that the velocity of light is indeed the top velocity in the universe, that velocity need not remain constant. I discovered that through minus rays, velocity could actually be accelerated. Let me illustrate in this way. This line represents an instant in time. An instant, that is, in relation to our immediate vicinity in space. Now, if you enter a dark room or flip a switch, that room is instantly flooded with light. That is because that light, traveling at its great velocity, takes hardly any time at all to cover that small area of a room. It is immediate, instantaneous. Now, if that light had traveled any faster, it would have come on before you flipped the switch. Are you beginning to understand?
I think so.
Fine. Now then, just as I illustrated a moment ago, with the airplane flying up over the world, heading north until it passed over the North Pole, then its direction became south. The same thing is true in the sense of time. If the velocity of ordinary light, represented by this arrow, should be accelerated, then it will pass beyond the instant, represented by this vertical line, and no longer be moving in the direction of the future, but it will be moving in the direction of the past. It will no longer be going forward in time, but backward. The greater the velocity, or I should say, the greater the acceleration, the further back in time it will travel.
In other words, if a guy left New York for Los Angeles and traveled fast enough, he'd get there before he started.
You joke, Mr. Crandall. But crudely expressed, that is exactly what would happen.
Why are you telling me all this?
Okay. As you see, strange things, like if you look back and listen to what this guy is saying, then you jump to today, it's very close, and I really think they've done it. And if they've done it now, then they have done it in the future. And like I said, it's something strange. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna just jump to this one. If the phone stopped ringing and everything. Okay, this one. Now I think I've taken it at a certain point here. Hang on.
Time is going to be granted to the adversary for a season called megaslipsis in the Greek, Great Tribulation. Things
Hourglass. So are the days of our lives.
like sands through the hour.
Okay, I'm gonna move
You
back.
need a machine to sustain a wormhole, of course.
Okay.
It's located adjacent to what's claimed to be the #1 most occult city in the world, Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay. Urgent. Insight into CERN's time machine. Okay, if you type that in, you should come up with that. He's got 278,408 views. Okay, I think it's somewhere right in here where I want you to watch. Anyway, I'll play it here.
The Penitent Man was filmed adjacent to the #2 most occult city in the world, which is Vancouver, BC. It was filmed in Seattle, and most of the scenes were shot inside a Masonic facility, the Society of the Illuminated Brotherhood, known for their temples. In this clip from The Penitent Man, you're about to see the context of the cryptic demonstration of a particle beam collision. The younger man is pressing the older man, Mr. Darnell, for technical detail about how he traveled there from the future. You'll hear Mr. Darnell say, "You need a machine to sustain a wormhole, of course." What kind of machine do you suppose they're talking about? Listen closely to their conversation and pay attention to all the props on the set.
But I did it. I actually did it, Doctor. See, viewing was only the beginning. But like a rudimentary computer, it only took time and development before a new model was born. You harness a wormhole, speed up one end and slow down the other.
Go on.
I can't.
Mr. Darnell, you realize...
Please, I can't. Let's leave it at this.
How does it work? How does it work?
You have to understand, if I answer that question, it could rip a hole through everything as we know it.
But that's why you're here, isn't it? To change the past, so you're gonna have to give me something.
Dr. Pine, I was under the impression it was never a good idea to force a patient to divulge anything they weren't comfortable with.
I can't, no, I can't keep doing it.
All right. I know this must be frustrating. I can't give you everything. It just wouldn't be safe.
I'm listening.
You say you like science.
I do.
To go back and read the concepts presented by Hawking, Einstein, Lewis, light speed, black holes, wormholes. They were so close. There was just one small piece missing. I'm sure you're aware or somewhat familiar with the concept of wormholes.
Sure, yeah, they're fascinating to wonder about.
If you don't mind, could you tell me what you know?
They're a consequence of Einstein's theory of general relativity. A wormhole, in theory, would act as a shortcut or a passageway through space and time.
The physics are even simpler than your definition. A wormhole creates a tunnel, effectively cutting through two locations in space-time.
Yeah, therefore eliminating the need for three-dimensional travel through space. No more rocket ships. I like Stargate too.
Oh, wow, Stargate. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Who is that guy? He's really good in that old Western.
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, he was good, wasn't he?
Listen, nothing you were telling me is new information, right? The theories about wormholes have existed for a long time, but nobody knows if they actually exist or how to find them.
But I do. They're everywhere. Just a matter of seeing them or harnessing them.
But you haven't explained either. How do you see them? How do you harness them? A machine, some sort of gateway?
Of course you need a machine to sustain a wormhole. But this is where I stop. I have given you the gun. Let me keep the bullets.
Please continue.
I found a way to go back. I was alone, but I found it. My old partner was the only one I knew, but for now, it'll stay that way. The only question is, can the ripples I create be enough to change the future? Or create an alternate one?
Ripples?
Think of the water in that glass as time. forward constantly, untouched. It's as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, and it creates a ripple effect. Change has to catch up with time. And everything around it either changes or suffers.
If you've ever been exposed to soap operas, the music in the soundtrack should evoke memories of a long-running show.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. That's the kind of subtlety being leveraged by the filmmaker. Darnell, the time traveler and inventor of time travel who destroyed the future, says, "Think of the water in that glass as time. Time moves forward constantly. Untouched, it's as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, bang, and it creates a ripple effect. Read between the lines. The particle collision picture creates a ripple effect in time, a time impact event. Who is trying to go back or forward to try to change an outcome? Darnell is. That's why he's there meeting with Dr. Pyatt and speaking so persuasively. Darnell himself is playing the role of the destroyer of worlds, the dancing Lord Shiva. Under the lamp, we see an idol of Shiva doing the cosmic dance of destruction, a miniature of the one featured at the CERN facility. There's a horned mask on the wall that represents the horned god Cernunnos, the god of the abyss, who is continually being invoked in ceremonies where magic circles are cast with salt, just like in the Symmetry film. Yes, Cernunnos, Cernunnos. Also, Nodens, Abaddon, Apollyon the Destroyer. It's a clever set. The table lamp paints light on the wall in the shape of an hourglass, hinting of a measure of the sands of time. Under the lamp, you'll find a pitcher of water, a reservoir as drawn from the river of time. Mr. Darnell's pocket watch rests on the coffee table with his time water glass, with the hinged case being a model of folded time-space. The box of tissues on the table is a cube. Think of the cube in the Marvel comic universe, which has to do with a multi-dimensional binding and the control of vast time-space energies. Again, what kind of machine are they talking about in the clip? Did you see the picture on the wall that artfully illustrates the particle collisions? Darnell mentioned small pieces, like subatomic particles. He mentioned a gun and bullets, and the collider fires protons like bullets from a machine gun. Did you notice the picture of the full moon next to the one of the particle collisions? That's a celestial timekeeper, the one that rules the night according to the foundational cosmological text of Genesis chapter 1. It's appointed for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and to give light on the earth, which is a matter of the revelation of supernatural insight and the Hebrew Moedim, the prophetic schedule of holy days. The moon silently affects the tides of the seas on earth in endless cycles. With that influence due to the interaction of gravity relative to mass, and with the water and the sea as a metaphor for time, that's a potent symbol in the context of the particle collider, with its vast array of enormously powerful ring magnets arrayed in a giant ring. Sonic energy is also used to accelerate the particles, so the LHC literally sings as the particles dance. Symmetry's opera and dance. When Darnell bangs the coffee table and we see the imagery of the particle beam collision so clearly illustrated, is there any doubt about what time machine they're talking about? With all the clues, do they really need to say it? Need more evidence? Darnell doesn't actually hit the coffee table with his fist, not directly. He hits a book that sits on the table, which is wrapped around with two rubber bands, one red and one green. The red band represents a stream of particles traveling around the LHC, and the green band is the opposing stream. The crossing of the bands represents the crossing of the streams where the collisions occur. He strikes the rubber bands at their crossing, bang, What's in Darnell's little black book? Notes on particle physics, time-space manipulation, and time travel? Are the bands made of rubber because time is flexible and in flux, able to contract and expand? Is there a redshift of the beams relative to one another, where he's slowing down one and speeding up the other, which Darnell had already claimed was a general principle involved with harnessing a wormhole? There's another aspect of the rubber band-bound book that should be mentioned. The two men are actually the same man who traveled back in time on a mission to convince himself not to make the mistake of building the device that would destroy the world in 50 years' time. The rubber bands represent the life of the man, where there are two at once, at the crossing of the future with the past in the present. The black book would represent a kind of journal or book of life. I'm going to replay the key collision segment from the Symmetry promo. Again, pay attention to the time marker.
Once again, I say speculation.
Based upon years of study, we should expect the Antichrist beast to manifest on the 13th day of the first month on the Lord's calendar. By the 21st day of the month, the season of primary impact is expected to end. The control of time is going to be granted to the adversary for a season called megaslipsis in the Greek, Great Tribulation. Things should get real interesting, perhaps a day in advance.
Okay, you can go look this up online. Anyway, like I say, I put together a few videos on, the Mandela effect, or the, time machine, CERN, flat Earth. Also, flat Earth definitely appears to be fact to me. I know as soon as you say flat Earth, people think you're absolutely bonkers, but that's okay. I don't mind. I don't really care. They can think what they want, but as a matter of fact, probably making these videos, I'm probably stepping into a rather unique situation. Been there before. My past as an activist has got me in trouble in the past, and who knows what they can do now that they can alter the past. Strange things have gone on. We're living in the Twilight Zone. We're living in the time tunnel. Who knows? All I have to do is I have to count on the Creator. I believe Jesus promised me life forever. Whether I'm taken away from this, or or I die and go in the dirt, or I die and I go into the go to be with God. I don't think it. To me, that's not important. It's only important that I follow and try to do as Jesus would do as he walked on this earth. And some people believe he did not return to this earth. Some believe that he was a spirit when he came back to life, but he said, "Touch me." And then he stayed on this earth for a time, and they touched him, and they ate with him, and then they seen him beaming up into the sky. So, what can I say? I won't join any religious organizations. They're all a bunch of, guilt mongers, do and don't, and this is what this means, and this is what that means, and judgment. Oh well, that's all right. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to promote what I find. I am supposed to search, and study to show myself approved, and take action on what I can without stepping into Satan's rightful territory. He has a rightful place that has been allowed by God, as Satan is the, I guess you would say, the god of this earth. He's been called. I believe he's been called that in the Bible. And, if Satan took Jesus onto a high mountain and said, I'll give you all these kingdoms if you'll bow down to me. Jesus didn't say, you can't do that, they're not yours to give. So, evidently, they were in his realm. So if I step into his area and violate his laws, then I have violated God. Because if he sets up a rule and says that Satan is the god of this earth at this time, and I try to knock him off his throne, or I violate the laws set up by Satan, then I could be in trouble. But when they're trying to do things like to poison us and to kill the people, I think it's my right to say, no, Satan, you don't have that right, and tell the people. So if they are going back in time and they're altering things, not much I can do about it. I just have to hold on the course. I'm holding on the course, and I'm working best I can for as long as I can carry the torch for Jesus until my time is up here in this body. But I believe my spirit and my soul will go on. Anyway, I just promote information, and I don't tell you what to believe or what you have to believe, or that you're right or that you're wrong. I just do what I feel is right and be cautious. So anyway, you all have a good day. Give a think about these things, to these videos, and start looking. Keeping your head in the sand. You bury your head in the sand, you know what target they have then, Anyway, you have a nice day, and we'll talk to you later.